What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Hope y'all are doing awesome. Today's an early morning for me. I'm just kind of getting out of bed, so bear with me if I'm not fully alive yet on the day. Keep rubbing my eyes because they're still trying to open. But anyway, today's video is it's about bugging out, but it's more bugging out in the big cities. And I had a comment on one of the Facebook groups I'm in about they live in Long Island and stuff like that, like or Hawaii or something like that. They were on Long Island, but this refers to bigger cities, bugging out in bigger cities, and particularly like island big cities. If you're on an island, if you're on Long Island, or you're in Hawaii, or you're in, Puerto Rico, or some of these other countries or cities or states that have an island somewhere, that you're very, very limited to your resources. You better be well stocked on yours, and because like on Long Island, there's probably no open space to go. There's probably nowhere to really get to. If bridges are shut down, you're stuck there, and there's you're to the mercy of whatever this event is, whatever SHTF happens to be. You're kind of at its mercy to some degree, but it also keeps more people out, so it's kind of good, kind of bad. People can't, all the masses can't come to you, only who's there on the island, but you can't get away either. So it's kind of tricky there. So hopefully you have a good plan. Big cities, if you're in a big city and you feel like bugging out is your first option, I would suggest move as soon as you can, just so that you're not in that situation, because that's where it's going to start. It's going to start in cities like that. It may not start on your islands, your Hawaiis, your Long Islands, your place like that. It may not start there, but if it gets bad enough, you're stuck there. And if you're stuck there, you may have a hard time getting to extra resources. You may have a hard time getting out of there. If something does happen in that area, you're going to have a hard time getting away from it. And my best recommendation there would be try to move as soon as possible. Move to the mainland, move to out of town, move to out of the cities, the edge of town, to where you're just like, pew, hop, skip, and jump, and you're at least out of it, because it's going to happen in the big cities, the big inner cities. It's going to happen there where the people are. It's going to happen where more people. So if you go to a place where there's fewer people, you have a better chance. And not necessarily into the mountains. I'm not saying go in the mountains and survive, but big cities are tough. Big cities are very, very hard to survive in, especially without some kind of a plan. Have a good plan anyway. Where you're going, how your routes, because if you're going, if your route is to get here and you're here, but whatever happens right here, if it's like, time of this recording is 2024 and it's an election season, and if you remember 2020 election season, there was a lot of protesting, is what they called it, peaceful protest, mostly peaceful protesting. If something happens, and it's going to happen in the bigger cities, that's where it's going to happen. Seattle's, Portland's, Minneapolis, it's going to happen in those type of cities. So if you're around those type of cities, and say you want to get here, but you live here, and your scuffus happens right here, you have to try and figure out a way to get around all that, it's going to be tough. Where if it's here, and you're here on the outside, edge of town, and it's over here, but you need to come over here, then you're further away from it, and it's just a little better that way. So try and have your plan to where, or just move. If you hear a lot of this, bug out bag, bugging out, we're gonna bug out, that should be the last option to begin with. If you're if you're in a situation where your mindset is it's going to get bad enough that I'm going to have to bug out like right off the bat, like right away, you're in the wrong place. I mean, hard truth, you're in the wrong place. You need to move. May not sound feasible, but you know, I've done it a couple times. I moved out of town, quite a bit out of town. I moved to a place that was like it was way out of town. I mean, it's like here's a big city, right in the middle. I was like 3 or 4 hours away from the nearest major metropolitan area, which was wonderful. And then something, work and other things, brought me back kind of to the big city, and then didn't like it. Wasn't so I relocated again to another smaller city. We're about an hour out of the nearest big city, so we're still out there a little ways, and so it can be done. I mean, it's not like, I mean, if you have to have a hour commute to get to work, you have to have an hour commute to get to work, or find something different to do. Go out and get a couple of side hustles and get them going and stuff like that. Do a YouTube channel. Sorry about that. My alarm's going off. Time to wake up, I guess. But I'm just saying, it's not, bugging out the bigger cities. You've got to have different types of supplies. You've got to have different kinds of mindset. You're going to have to be dealing with a lot more people. It's harder to hide. I'd suggest gray man, just wear normal clothes so you don't stand out so much. It's kind of hard to, put on your war vest or your war belt and your carry your rifle, and it's a little harder to do that in the city, where you hear all these people with all these tactical, if you're living in a big city, you walk around with that, you're a target. You're a target to some degree. People are gonna, you're gonna be a target to either law enforcement, if there is such a thing. Like I said, depends on SHTF. If you're walking around with a plate carrier and 10 magazines and a gun on your side, wearing your multicam, and if you're walking around a city like that, you're a target. Blend into your environment. It's harder. It's maybe a little easier to do that in the city. You just throw a T-shirt on and maybe a hoodie. A normal looking backpack. You could be some college kid, or you could be just, but then you're more limited on your array of firepower. Yeah, you might have your concealed carry. You might have a fold-up rifle in your backpack or something, or a short barrel rifle, or AR pistol or something. You might be able to put something like that in there, but if you need it in a pinch and you need it in a hurry, how are you going to get that? So you got to have all that planned. How are you going to get your water? How are you going to get your food? How are you going to get, how are you going to try and avoid? I mean, it's easy to avoid the stuff, but the SHTF, the people behaving badly, it's not, if you're walking down the street and you see, there's a big crowd of people over there, don't be interested in what they're doing. I mean, a lot of times, let's go see what's going on down there. Don't be in it. Don't go get in it. The best way to avoid SHTF is don't be where SHTF is. If you're concerned about how you're going to react to it, your best policy is don't be there. I mean, if you can't avoid it, you can't avoid it. But if you can avoid it, avoid it. It's like a lot of these people, they're all geared up, and when SHTF comes, I got this gun. Your best bet is don't use it. Don't, you're not, SHTF isn't gunfight, shoot anybody that moves. It's not that. And if that's the case, if that's your idea of it, good luck, because you're not going to last very long. It's like I have a brother that I was talking about preparedness with him, and he's like, I'm not preparing. I'm not buying anything. I says, why not? What if something drastic happens? And he's like, well, I've got guns, and my neighbors don't. So if something happens, I'll just go steal their stuff. I said, that's a horrible idea. You may get by with one house or two houses. But when you start running out, you have to start moving out of. You're gonna eventually run into somebody that doesn't want you to have their stuff, and they might have guns, and they're gonna, you know, and they're gonna act accordingly. So, and that's big cities. Smaller towns, you tend to be a little bit closer knit. You know your neighbors, you know your neighborhood. You got your little group, and they're usually helping protect you, helping keep an eye out for everybody. And you know, when I was living in the city, I knew my two next door neighbors, and that was about it. Everybody else, I had no idea who they were. Everybody just comes and goes. They're smug. They just nose in the air, and they go on, and they don't look at you. They don't talk to you. They just go about their business, and, which doesn't bother me. That's what I prefer. But it was just in the cities. It's like, you know, one neighbor was some old, you know, retired guy. He could barely move around. You know, had a hard time walking and stuff. And I mean, he did okay, but he was, you know, walking with a little limp. And you know, I don't know if he was a veteran or not, but he was just some older guy. I talked to him, and you know, not really older, but older-ish. And then the other one was like kind of a younger family with kids. You know, junior high, high school, elementary kids, and those were my neighbors. Those were my immediate next door neighbors, and that was really it. That's all I knew. It's like I didn't feel safe. They didn't make me feel safe. They didn't, you know, like you got my, you know, I didn't feel like they had my back if something happened. Smaller towns, you tend to get people that are a lot more like-minded, and you know, you got each other's back. You're looking out for each other. It may not be your immediate next door neighbor, but you know, could be down the street, a few houses, could be, you know, across town. But across town in most smaller towns is, you know, 5-10 minutes to get across town. But anyway, bugging out in the big cities, not recommended. Try to avoid it. If you're in the city, try and bug in as much as possible. But the problem is, you know, when the mobs come, like we saw in 2020, they just came down and down streets, and they don't care. So it's bugging in may not be your option. Excuse me. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, thumbs up button. You're not only helping me, you're helping the whole genre of the prepper community. These smaller channels, we're struggling. It's hard. The algorithms don't like us. And, you know, these gun channels and these, you know. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. And if you have a channel and need to subscribe, let me know. I'll subscribe. We can swap subscribes. I'm not against that idea. It's just we're helping each other out. You know, and again, it helps the whole algorithm with this type of content. So it helps every channel out by subscribing and to our channels. Not just me, everybody. It takes you no time, costs you no money. Just when you're watching a video and you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm not asking you to click the bell so you don't miss a video. Just hit the subscribe button and, you know, watch what you want to watch. It's not like hit that subscribe, hit the bell, just hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. You know, you're helping the whole algorithms by doing that. You're showing YouTube that you like this type of content. You know, this bugging out, this prepper SHTF type content. You know, YouTube doesn't like it. So the more help, the better. I mean, like I said, it costs you nothing, takes you 2 seconds. But anyway, that's the video. Appreciate you watching. Love you all. And I'll see you in the next one.